was here in 2009 as an Inc. honoree with my former business. It was a management consulting firm. I sold that in the beginning of the year, and I've just launched my new venture. And the new venture is a technology firm, and it is dedicated to developing mobile travel applications for children. So things, we're going to be going out to the Android market, the Apple market, and they're going to be travel guides that kids are going to be able to use as they're going to various destinations. And so I launched the company just about a month ago, and so I am in brand new startup mode right now.
Well, that's perfect. That's great. Because the startup entrepreneur is really who we want to encourage. Now, you're also a serial entrepreneur, so
Yep.
Is this a position that you saw yourself as, when you were a young girl growing up, going through school, were you going to make your own way? Were you going to make a job instead of take a job, if you will?
Actually, yes. I always saw myself as starting my own company, doing my own thing. I think entrepreneurs are a lot of times born, not bred. Because for me, the idea of going out and getting a job is just inconceivable. To go work for somebody else puts me in a box that I don't want to be in. Whereas I have some friends out there in the world that absolutely are terrified at the idea of starting their own company. They would rather just work at a job that they know what the guidelines are, do that job well, and be compensated for it. And so it's interesting because there's no wrong answer. But I think that definitely entrepreneurs know very early on. And I certainly did. I always knew I was going to launch my own business, and I launched my first company when I was about 18.
You want to have a business.
Yeah.
You want to be an entrepreneur.
Yep.
And then are you just going through your everyday life and thinking, wow, somebody needs to do something about that, or this is a big problem?
Yes, there is always a problem that needs to be solved, or holes in the marketplace that are just constantly being identified.
What's been your experience for funding?
I'm in the process right now of going through venture capital rounds and looking at early stage funding for my business. And I don't need the money right now, but I know, because this is, again, my fourth company that I've got under my belt, that the money gets spent faster than you anticipate, and I'll need that money fairly soon. So it's always the challenge of wanting to try to go out and get it before you need it. And it is a barrier, because there are hard costs that a startup needs to go through in order to be able to do some of these things. And as an early stage entrepreneur, you can do a lot of them yourself. But you do need to outsource some things, and you need to spend some money on some things. My best advice is for somebody that is starting a new company, look at how much money you think you're going to need, probably raise more, make sure you have some money in the bank before you jump off and start your business venture. Then that way you have that cushion, and then look at how you can start to get more through the VC process, through angel investors, whatever, grants, that kind of thing. I'm a firm believer of look at getting very creative with your funding sources, and don't say no to any opportunity.
You had 3 businesses under your belt. Some had been recognized at the Inc. 500 conference as some of the fastest growing companies in the United States. You exit those companies. What are the sort of the warning signs that start to gather that say, is it a function of size, or when the thrill starts to dissipate?
I have never grown a business to sell it. I have never started a business to say, I'm going to get out at X particular time. I've always felt that I'm going to have this business for quite a while. What changes for me is just recognizing that I am very good at taking a company to a particular level. And so with this last consulting business, it was growing to the point where it needed a CEO in charge that was going to take it to that next level. And I just didn't have the passion to do that. So I'm not calling myself a startup CEO, that's wrong. But for me, the shift is always, once my passion starts to die a little bit, then I get out. Because then I recognize I'm not the best person in charge anymore. For me, it's a shift in energy and how I'm looking to spend my time. Right now with this new business venture, I'm excited to wake up every day and say, I get to do this. This is exciting, this is dynamic, this is very engaging and rewarding for me. I get to do this. And when I start to have that passion fade, when I'm waking up in the morning and thinking, time to go to work, I know.
Time to move on.
The ship has sailed. And I have done all that I can for this particular entity right now, and now it's time to move on to something else.
Let me ask about one more specific business practice area that entrepreneurs sometimes struggle with at any size, but it's bringing people onto your team.
If you don't have the right people, one person can have a huge disruptive impact to your entire organization. So what I do is I really hire slow and fire fast. I look at, when I'm going through the hiring process, not only do they have the core skills and the competencies that are needed for the job, but also, are they going to fit with my organization's culture? As a CEO, I don't know it all, but my job is to make sure that I have the people on the team that are going to be able to be the experts in that particular area. Finance, IT, HR, etc.
Your background, your educational background in organizational development, business, did that teach you to become an entrepreneur? Or was it even helpful?
You know what? It was incredibly helpful. An entrepreneur has to be able to quickly see what isn't working with his or her business entity and what's steaming along really well, but is not going to be able to go to the next level unless something gets broken and fixed first.
At the stage of business that you are now, if you could talk to one person about your business, who would it be and what would you want to know?
I've been really impressed with Zuckerberg and Facebook, that he was able to take his organization to the level that it is right now. I would love to talk to Steve Jobs at Apple, because he has done such an amazing job of continually reinventing his company and his organization, coming out, being the real true innovators of the field, and looking at Apple products are fantastic right now, but I can imagine that they're already talking about and looking at what is the next thing going to be coming out. And lastly, I would love to talk to President Obama, and I would like to ask him what he is continuing to do for entrepreneurship. I know that his presidency and his administration has been giving a big push behind entrepreneurs and small businesses to be able to turn the economy around. But I'd like to also find out from him what else he's planning, and so that way I know what kind of support may or may not be coming from my government.
When you think about starting a business, do you have a checklist as what you want to do first, second, third? I mean, just give me the practical stages.
I separate my company out into different facets of just operational facets, IT, HR, finance, et cetera, et cetera. And I look at, as I'm launching this firm, what do I need to do in each of those facets? So for example, with IT, in a brand new startup mode, well, I'm going to need a website, I'm going to need an email account and some domain information, and I'm going to need a website designer, a hosting company, things like this. For HR, I'm going to need to start to get the right people on the bus. So right now I've got 2 employees, and I took my time in selecting them and made sure that they were the right people, that they really truly got my business concept and my vision. And now I'm also looking at how do I want to continue to build this little company culture that I'm starting. What is it going to look like? How do I want to take shape of it? Because I'm recognizing as a brand new startup, I'm in a unique position to create my company culture from scratch. Early stage funding, making sure that I'm getting my books together, making sure that all my corporate papers and bylaws and everything else are all in place. So that's how I go through this little checklist of thinking about each of these individual facets of my company, and then what do I need to do.
The idea itself doesn't matter so much in any of those things. I mean, of course it influences to a degree all of those things, but really it's the same no matter what business you're launching.
I have found that it is. And it's really funny because I actually, right now I have a technology firm. I am not a technologist. I never went to school for writing programs or code. I don't have my degree in information technology. I am not a technologist, but I am heading up a technology firm today. Tomorrow it could be a nonprofit, or it could be, a travel business. What I've really realized is a lot of entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs, and it doesn't really matter what the particular product is. They are good at being entrepreneurs.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.